Hi, and welcome to TV My Husband Hates. I'm Cat Sims.
And I'm Reagan Kempton.
And we are reality TV addicts.
Addicts, aficionados.
Ooh, I like that. Experts. Basically, we know our shit when it comes to reality TV.
100%. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of TV My Husband Hates. How are you doing this week, Kat?
You know, another week of homeschooling down. I'm fine. I am fine. We just got the announcement that there's absolutely no way the kids are going back to school before the March the 8th. So that's 6 weeks away. So that's great.
Is that half term then?
I think that's like after half term. But they're going to give us 2 weeks notice. So it's probably not going to be until at least 2 weeks after that. Anyway, listen, it's day at a time shit here right now. It's literally day at a fucking time because I cannot sit here and wallow in 6 weeks.
Yeah. No, you can't. You got to just.
I just need to keep it. And actually, if I do it day by day, the weeks are fucking flying by. Genuinely, I cannot believe we've been here for 4 weeks doing this. So it's all fine. It's just, you know, it's like my fine is different to what my fine was before.
Fuck yes. Relative. I mean, I think that's everybody, right? Like, we're not in lockdown, but I'm in almost a self-imposed lockdown with the house being done. And it's really behind schedule and everything's fucking up. And we had this like super persnickety, like plumbing inspector here all week. And it's just like, can you just shut the fuck up so my house can be put back together so we can move out? But we passed plumbing inspection this morning. Woo-hoo! So everything is moving forward. We're having new drywall. Like, hopefully, when you guys get out of lockdown, we will be moving out of the basement.
I am so excited for you. I think that's going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm so tired of sharing a bathroom with my children. Like, one bathroom for 4 people, which I know a lot of people have. My heart goes out to all of you because it fucking blows.
I can only imagine how hard it is. So we have got a quiet week this week.
Yeah,
on the old,
we're losing a lot.
We're losing a lot. We're going to lose Salt Lake City next week. We're going to have a guest next week, so that's exciting. Yeah. We'll reveal all later. But before we get into that, I'm going to do the housekeeping because we always forget. But could you please listen? It's just the most helpful thing you can do to support podcasts that you like is rate and review them on Apple. It's literally the only thing that really matters.
We got one brilliant review that we got from Australia. Did you see that?
I did see it, yes.
So lovely. Love from down under. Thank you, James Y.R. Wilson from Australia. We love that you enjoy listening to us. Thank you.
So if you do reviews, you get a shout out.
Yeah.
Basically.
For sure.
We'll do anything for reviews is essentially what we're saying.
Not an OnlyFans site, though. We don't have an OnlyFans site. That's not the way we roll.
Never say never. I've been in this game long enough to know that occasionally you've got to fucking pivot and make the best of a bad situation. And if that means OnlyFans down the line, I don't think I'll make much money from it, but, you know, I'm here for it.
So we also had a post bag this week. We had a post bag this week, and it was all tied around what Chef Rachel said about having shit her pants in traffic one time as an adult. So we asked you, have you ever accidentally shit your pants as an adult? Kat, I mean, would you like to share anything?
Do you know what? I have been a fuck up in so many ways. Like, I cannot even count. But the one thing that I have never done is shit my pants.
So I totally have, but it wasn't like a full on, like full pants issue. It was like, I thought it was safe to do a fart.
Oh no, a shart. You did a shart.
And it wasn't. And then I ran and took care of it. But I've always been like at home. Like, I don't play around with that outside. But we've got one answer here that said, yep, in traffic across the Golden Gate Bridge. Got home and threw all my clothes away without my husband knowing. When he got home, right behind me.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So what was I going to say? My sister, because you just have to use the fodder that you get, right? So my
Sure.
sister's going to be really annoyed about this, but I'm going to tell the story anyway.
Excellent.
To be fair, it wasn't her fault. She was in London for the day with work, and she lives in Yorkshire, so it's like a 2-hour train ride.
Right.
She wined and dined because she was like in PR, wined and dined, and champagne, oysters, the whole lot. The oysters didn't go down very well, and she found herself on a train shitting through the eye of a needle, which actually was like, that was awful, but at least I was on the
train loo, yeah.
And it, like, the door was locked, and it was what it was. She's wearing a white mini dress. I know Reagan's covering her mouth. If you're not watching this on YouTube, then Reagan is not happy about the direction that this story is going in. Anyway, so she got off the train, and our brother, it's a long story.
Yeah.
Was picking her up, and in his brand new BMW or something, because that's what he gives a shit about.
Yeah.
Anyway, he put a towel down for her, and she went like through the whole thing. Through the whole thing on the way back from Leeds station to home. Just everything.
Oh, no.
Everywhere.
Oh, I don't know who I feel sorrier for. Your sister
Sam,
or your brother?
Definitely Sam. I mean,
I wouldn't want to clean all that up, though. Like, did Sam clean
it
it
up?
up?
I don't think he cleaned it up. I'm pretty sure he
took
took it to somebody. Yeah.
But that's kind of embarrassing as well, like having to drive your shitty car or wait if it's in the evening because the shops aren't open at night. You have to wait till like the next day to drive your shitty car. I mean, it's bad for both, but yikes.
Yeah, but that's the only shit my pants story that I like. It's not even me. I'm trying to think if I know of any other shit my pants stories. No, I think
that covers it.
I think that just about covers the shit my pants.
I mean, I've got
story.
loads of kids shitting their pants stories, but that happens just all the time.
I remember when I was trying to potty train Billy, and you know, when you do it the first time around, you always do it too soon.
Yeah,
you know, like you
sure.
Sure, 18 months, we're going to potty train her.
Right, because that's what everybody else tells you that they're doing, and it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. Basically, just leave them to potty train themselves. And if they're like 9 and they're still in nappies, it's probably a problem. But pretty much anything before that's fine.
So I've only had boys, and I know girls are different. But everybody that I've talked to that has boys, literally, here's the book on boys potty training. Wait until they're 3. It will take you 1 weekend. It'll be done. Don't try any sooner than that. Wait till they're 3, and it's absolutely not an issue.
It's so true. Even with Bo, the same. Girls, she needed to be 3. Billy was quick, but she's just one of those annoying kids that does everything fast. But Bo just needed to be 3, and she's still in nappies at night. Anyway, I digress.
Right.
I went into the library once when I was potty trained Billy, and she wasn't wearing a nappy, obviously, because we were potty training. And I spent the whole hour and a half we're in the library fucking catching turds. Like, they just kept coming into her pants. And you know when you're like, you can see that bulge like grow in her butt. Because they're all wearing leggings at that age, aren't they? And it's literally just like a
little tail.
I'm like, fuck's sake.
Were they like rabbit turds?
They were like
little circles.
Yeah. Like big circles. Anyway, so after the 3rd turd, I was like, I'm done. I'm putting her back in a nappy. And then about a year and a half later, we tried again, and it was like, boom, just done.
It's just the way it is. And I feel like it is scientifically proven girls potty train faster than boys. At least it has been on my research with my
I agree.
Girls.
I agree. But then also, I think if you've got a girl that's taking a long time, also fine. Like, don't freak out.
I don't think you need to freak out until they're going to kindergarten. And if they're not potty trained by then, you may want to try.
Yeah. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we,
move
away from the poo chat?
Yeah. Yeah. It's good chat, though. I always like a little poo chat.
I love poo chat. So do my kids.
All right. So the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Here we go. Now, Kenya and LaToya, this for me is quite a worrying relationship. Like, this isn't going to end well. No. These are both two very strong, very manipulative, very thirsty women,
for sure,
who seem to have found like a common bond in their despicability, essentially.
Yes.
And now Kenya's giving her underwear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact time frame of their friendship, but I'm willing to put money on the fact that you and I have known each other way longer. And neither one of us have ever bought each other underwear, let alone sniffed it.
I mean, I feel like giving underwear to a girlfriend as a gift is a fun present. Like that's for a birthday, sure. Whatever, that's cute. But this isn't that. This is like, this was mine. It doesn't fit me anymore. And I know that there were labels on it, but she will have still tried that shit on. It's maybe, you know, I just think that's, I'm not against giving them underwear. It's just that this relationship is suspicious in its speediness.
Well, and I am against sniffing the underwear that somebody has given you. I mean, I don't know if she was doing a clean test, like just making sure they had never been worn. Because actually, I will say, maybe we have given each other underwear because we were at both each other's bachelorette parties, and that may have actually happened.
Oh, yeah, but the different
Not
context.
the same thing.
Not the same thing. Also, I make the assumption, I'm going to be honest, I make the assumption that if a girlfriend gives me underwear, it's like, it's fresh off the fucking rack.
For sure. Not.
I can't think of a reason why I sniff it.
Yeah.
I can't think of a reason why you would. Unless you got off on that, which is fine.
That I think is 100% the only reason. I mean, it is totally fine. No kink shaming here. We don't yuck anybody's yum on this podcast. Nope. It's just a weird relationship.
Yeah, it is. It's going to end in tears. For sure, that's going to be explosive at some point. I will bet both my ovaries on that.
I hope it's on the show because it will liven up the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
I'm
still not feeling the show.
No, I'm not either. I know, but they're going to have to step it up. But while Kenya and Latoya are having lunch, they discuss plans to go to Charleston. And Kenya tells Latoya that she is taking her nanny and her kid and Latoya on the private jet ahead, and the other girls have to go in a 5-hour sprinter with no, excuse me, I just did a burp. I didn't need to announce it, but I did.
You didn't,
sorry.
But you're fine.
Are in a sprinter with no aircon. So Kenya tells Drew that she's taking a private jet.
Yes.
And then she goes, oh, don't tell anybody. And then Drew's, go on, you go. No, you go.
I was going to say, here's the thing. This is during COVID, which is something I kind of forgot when I first watched it. And I was like, oh, wait.
None of them are wearing masks.
Yeah. They probably don't want to put the baby and the nanny on a commercial flight. Fair enough. Like, I understand needing to pay for a private jet to get them down there. Fine. But be fucking open about it, because ultimately Kenya has nobody to leave this baby with. She just doesn't. She doesn't leave her with Mark. She's never left this baby with anybody else. Fine. She's got the money. She can pay for a private jet if she wants to. But you need to be open with it. I think she's setting Drew up to look messy when Drew is not messy.
Well, I think initially she's just doing it, like she's not being open about it just to cause a bit of drama, like amongst the group in general. But it happens to be Drew that falls into the net first. And I like that I like to see a little bit of spice with Drew, because I like that she calls her out. She's like, so how did you get here? You know? Mm-hmm. And then Kenya's like, well, she's being messy. It's like, no. She's not being messy. She's calling you out on your messiness.
Yeah. And you're trying to set her up to look messy. Like this was, I think it was a whole plan. I think Kenya knew if she told Drew, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
She told Drew. Yeah,
she doesn't like Drew.
No.
She doesn't like Drew. She's constantly referring to Drew as a stray. And the reason, of course, is because Drew actually has a bona fide acting career.
Right.
She's legitimately successful in films and TV. Yeah. And that is like Kenya's trigger. She fucking hates it.
For sure. But also, if anybody's the stray, it's Toya. Like, nobody else likes Toya. She's only there because she's sniffing Kenya's underwear.
Yes. True story.
Facts.
I mean, facts. Nothing but the truth bombs on fucking TV my husband hates.
Exactly. Let's talk about the dinner at Drew's house, where I don't often want to give Ralph props because he's a bit of a weirdo. But he was on his best hosting behavior at this dinner.
He gave good hosting game. But here's the thing with me and Ralph. I have seen enough of him to feel like he's like the guy that behind closed doors is a controlling narcissist, but when everybody else is around, makes everybody go, oh my God, he's amazing. So that when Drew says, by the way, he's a controlling narcissist, they're like, but he's always been so lovely.
Yeah, so everybody can like gaslight her and think she's the crazy one, not him.
Yeah.
Fair.
Sorry, I mean, I hear you, and I think he did a great job at it, but I don't trust a
it's all about like a master manipulation, right? Like he does that shit on purpose, which
100%.
I agree with you on that.
And I really like Drew. I have a lot of time for her, and I it always makes me sad when I see fucking women with these guys and these women are strong, successful, professional women, and it's people are like, oh, that would never happen to me. I'd never let that happen. But it's always strong, professional, amazing women that it does happen to.
100%. These guys are masters at their fucking game. Like, this is not anything new. I mean, we know Ralph has been doing this since he was a kid because he did it to his mom. Yeah. That came out in therapy. And I don't know. Like, there are lows that people will go to in relationships that are just despicable. And they're mostly perpetrated by the dudes, in my experience.
Predominantly, yes, there are vicious, awful, nasty, manipulative women out there, for sure. Like, I mean, you know, we're going to be talking about Bronwyn in the OC reunion minisode and the whole domestic abuse issue that comes up around that. You know, women are not exempt from being despicable humans in relationships too. But there's no doubt that predominantly it does end up that men kind of tend to abuse the women in relationships. But while we're talking about relationships,
they are in this situation for sure.
In this situation,
it's Ralph. Sure. Yeah.
But also, while we're on relationships, Portia gives us a little bit more this week about her and Dennis. Now, I know you've got an opinion on this, Kempton.
I certainly do. And I love Portia, and I think she's a badass. But I don't know how clear she is being to Dennis about there being, like, she's telling all the girls, like, there's no way we're getting back together. Like, we are just going to be co-parents. That's where our relationship ends. I don't think Dennis knows that.
Interesting. So you think that she's kind of stringing him along for her own benefit?
Maybe. And maybe she's doing it subconsciously because, you know, he did really hurt her. And I'm going to totally give Portia the benefit of the doubt. I don't think she's being like an evil, manipulative bitch. But I think it feels really nice for somebody who has wronged you to be constantly apologizing and trying to do nice things and trying to do all this. Because no guy that I've ever encountered who there's no way he's getting back into the V is consistently buying designer bags. Like, maybe he'll drop you off at a friend's house or like to go on a trip because you're co-parenting, fine. But it's the designer bag angle that I don't quite buy that he would be doing if he didn't think there's any chance of getting back together with her.
Do you know what? I sort of feel like you're right, but I also feel like Dennis, like, you know, these flashy guys with lots of money.
Yeah.
I think it's not that he's doing it because he thinks she might. It's because he thinks he can win her over. So I feel like even if she's saying, this is not happening, we are co-parenting, Dennis might still be the guy that's like, if I buy her enough designer handbag,
fair,
she's probably going to let me put my D in her V.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know which way it is. Yeah. But I do sort of feel like Portia has been phenomenally magnanimous in this whole situation. Like, she could have been really difficult because he screwed her over, and she's continuously kept the baby in the middle of it and at the forefront and worked hard to make this a great co-parenting relationship.
100%. There's no doubt in my mind that if she was not kind of in charge of the co-parenting situation, it would not be going as well as it's going.
Oh, yes. I mean, I think Dennis is probably a sweetheart, but I don't think he's anywhere near the level of emotional maturity that
No.
Portia is displaying. I mean, Portia has 2 kids on her hands right now. I feel like that's the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
So they all get on. They're all on their way over to Charleston, and they discuss. And there's some fracas at the end because, of course, the women discover that she's on the private jet and she's taken Brooklyn with her, and there are some very unhappy women about this.
Yeah, first off, I mean, if you have somebody to leave your kids with to go on a girls' trip, I don't know why you then complain about having to leave your baby. I mean, let's be real. We all need we all need breaks.
Right? 100%.
And if you've got somebody that you trust to look after your kiddo, fucking cool. You do you go do that. I don't think Kenya has anybody in her life that she trusts to watch after her kid.
She doesn't have family. She doesn't have a mum. She doesn't have a dad. She doesn't have those people near her that are close enough to look after Brooklyn. No. And obviously Mark doesn't give a shit.
He sounds fucking terrible, by the way.
He's a disgusting one of the worst. The worst.
For sure.
Him and Michael are right up there for me.
Oh,
Michael from Potomac.
Yeah, I would almost say...
worse than Michael.
I would almost say worse than Michael, because Michael does not neglect his wife and kid. Like, he fucks around on them and he does a lot of shit, but he is also there to like do some of that shit. Whereas I think Mark has been fucking hands off the entire time.
You make a very valid point. So with that in mind, of course, Kenya has to take the baby, but she's also taking a nanny. Like, it's not like she's expecting to have baby 9 to 5. And I'm with you. If that was me and I heard that that Kenya was bringing a baby and I was Portia or something, I'd be like, oh man, that must suck. I'm really pleased I got to leave mine with Dennis.
Absolutely. Like, I'm so happy I have a partner that I can trust to actually take care of our child. Or a mom.
I mean, I know you love your kids. I know we all love our kids, and I don't know if that's where this comes from. Like, maybe they think they should be kind of standing up against it, because that will show that they're good mums who love their kids.
No,
it's not. That doesn't work for me. I'm like, you take your time. Like, give the baby to the dad because he's a parent too.
For sure. And
go and have some fun with your girlfriend.
100%.
This is why. This is why we're mates.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's no. I mean, to be fair, I'd probably leave him with somebody I didn't 100% trust as well. My kind of babysitting is like, I'll just open the front door. Hi, you busy? Next couple of days? I joke before you all write in.
Right. Stop listening to us. They hate their children. They're obviously terrible wives and mothers.
Just leave them with strangers. Let's before we move on, here's just a little thing that we'd love you to listen to. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on to Below Deck, where Gastro is running rampant through the boat.
Absolutely. Aisling really bothered me this episode about like not seeing the doctor for the same tummy issues, but still having to go the next day.
I know. I was
just
a bit
take
like,
advantage of the doctor being on the boat. Yeah,
I know. I get it. You want to be the person that's working through the pain and turning up regardless.
Why?
But just, you know, the doctor's right there. Just Rachel's seen her. She's been told that she's got gastro. You've probably got gastro. Just go and see the doctor too.
Right. She'll give you medicine and you'll start feeling better. What's the point of working through the pain when someone is literally right there to give you like pain relief?
100%. Of course, somebody who is not afraid to ask for doctors and meds and all this bit, Liz with her UTI, and James is being a massive child. Liz is being a big baby. And they get themselves in a right pickle this week.
By doing it in the guest cabin. Like, obviously that UTI wasn't too painful to have a D shoved in the V.
When I have a UTI, the thought of a penis being in the same fucking room as me like makes me clench my sphincter. The thought of actually having sex while you have cystitis or UTI is just unthinkable to me and makes me think she's just fucking making a mountain out of a molehill.
For sure. Or she has an STD.
she has an STD.
Ooh.
Wonder if James gave her an STD.
Maybe. Or maybe it was like fooling around in the hot tub kind of deal, you know? That's not good for UTIs.
Well, actually, my friend thought she got an eye infection from fooling around drunk in a hot tub, but it turned out to be something else. But that's what we thought. It wasn't pretty. I think you should be careful in hot tubs. They're basically a cesspit of germs.
They're a gigantic tub.
Yeah, where you can
with
cook
like multiple
various bacteria.
Oh, and like nobody gets inside those jets to clean them. Like, I don't know. Like nobody's like in there cleaning out the jets. And that's
it just reminds me of a girls' trip I did once where there was like 13 of us and there was a hot tub. And of course, like literally all 13 of us got in the hot tub pissed at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then fell out of it, whatever, went back to it the next morning to find that there was about 10 centimeters of water and it was just full of like mud and grass because we'd all been jumping in and out of it. And because there'd been like maximum 6 and there was like 16 of us in there, all the water had just been splashing over. I mean, it's not pretty.
No.
It's not pretty. Anyway, so they jump into the guest cabin, and I have to say, I have been watching this series from day dot, and I have never seen staff use a guest cabin without asking a chief stew first. I've never seen it.
No, and I've also never seen like a chief stew turn it down when asked. Like the minute they're asked, they're like, cool, just take care of it or sleep on top of it or whatever. It's your responsibility to make sure it's good to go. That's cool. But that does not happen in this situation.
No, and this is when like James and Liz just get on my tits because I just think these are very simple decisions that you could like make differently that would not piss Chess off. And I get why Chess is done. Because it's so, as a teacher, right? This is what it reminds me of. As a teacher, it's not the kid that's fucking throwing chairs and calling you a cunt that's the problem. No. You can deal with that shit.
For sure.
It's the low-level disruption shit. It's the one that looks at you all fucking smiles and I'm doing it, but he's been sending letters or egging somebody else on. Or he's like constantly just nagging. And that's what Liz is doing. She's just low-level, constant shit.
And constantly fucking making the wrong decisions. Like, I'm sorry, but if my boss was already fucked off at me, I sure as hell would not be trying to sleep in a guest cabin. Like,
I know, right? Like, she says, I can't do right for doing wrong. But then you go and make that decision.
Yeah.
Like,
every decision you make is wrong.
The little shit would be done. Like, Chess could miss it if you weren't fucking up all the time.
For sure. And at first I wrote down on my notes that I thought Francesca was being a bit of a dick to Liz because she was like, what do I need to do next? And she's like, I'm fucking busy. Like, just do your job or whatever. But actually, the more that I think about it, if someone was constantly fucking up and doing like little bullshit that made my day-to-day life fucking hard, I'd probably be the exact same. Like, well, I don't know. Why don't you look around and do your fucking job?
Well, and this is like 5th or 6th charter.
Yeah. And she has loads of experience.
Apparently. Right, she's not 19. She's going to be 30.
Yeah.
So if you have been in this game for a while, this is your 6th charter on this boat, and you still can't figure out what the fuck it is you need to do in the morning, then there's a fucking problem.
For sure. For sure. Because you know what? I could tell you what you need to do in the morning as like the bottom stew. You need to check the fucking laundry, start tidying up the guest cabins if they're having breakfast. That's what you need to do. Give us a call. We'll tell you. Everybody who watches the show can tell you what to do.
It's true. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be on, I'll be a guest. One day I'm manifesting being a guest.
Exactly.
But I know that's a big ask for the universe, but I'm fucking, it's going to happen before I die. It's on my bucket
you know what? Producers of Below Deck, we are available to be guests. We will save up for that tip.
True story. We could do a live podcast on one dinner.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I
think I'd want Rachel to be my chef.
Yeah, and I'd want Captain Lee.
Yeah. Who would you want as the chief stew? I'd want Kate to come back, to be honest.
Kate,
I want her to make like dick shapes in the blankets.
100% I want Kate. And actually, as much as I do want Rachel, the chef, for the food, because she's hands down like the best.
But there's Ben.
I mean, there's Ben. And I know he's a dick. I know he's a dick.
2 chefs on our charter.
But I'd shag Adam too.
Yeah, but his food is not that great.
Not
I don't
that
want to
great.
go.
Ben,
I don't want to have not that great food. It would be Ben. Who would be your like bosun?
oh, that's a tricky one because I mean, Eddie's fine, but you know, he's the beige cardigan.
Yeah, but you know, I think that's kind of what I want in my bosun. Like, I just want someone who's like making sure we're all safe,
slow and
like,
steady.
yeah, and not like being a raging you know,
Sexist. Pig.
yeah, sexist pig,
Yeah, I mean, that's always a plus.
narcissist trying to rape me in my cabin.
Yeah, I mean, that would suck.
But
I mean, I'm not laughing about rape, but I just love the way you're like. I mean, that was like where you went to when it came to thinking about
that's
Ashton.
my line,
that's
right?
Essentially, where you went. You're like, that's my boundary.
Yeah, just not Ashton for sure. And then everybody else would be fine. I don't think I'd want Elizabeth on there. I would be cool with Izzy being the lead deckhand, which she now is, which I think is awesome.
Congratulations, Izzy. Can we just talk about how there is nothing more pathetic than a boy's bruised ego?
Holy fucking shit. Like, what the hell is wrong with Rob? Like, he's kind of this milquetoast dude that just talks about like Dungeons and Dragons weird shit, which is fine. And then
I love that he's been so fucking quiet, brought nothing to the show, and he could have brought so much. And what he decides is his like platform is fucking to be a misogynistic sexist pig who's a bit a sore loser.
Yeah, it's not cute. Like, dude, and have you? I mean, he's not even being that great of a misogynistic fool.
No,
because
he's not
we
even
had
good
that
at that
last season.
Yeah,
he can't hold a candle to those dudes.
No, it's just a tantrum.
Yeah,
just a sexist little,
such a little baby
tantrum. Such a baby.
I mean, did he get tired of making weird Dungeons and Dragons sexual innuendos to James? Because I felt like that's what he's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that's what I'm still waiting to figure out exactly what he's been doing. I mean, I've no doubt he's great on deck, but on a television show,
he's not that great.
Like, I would literally rather watch paint dry than
I could not pick Rob out of a lineup.
No, I couldn't. No. So I think we're all agreed on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's going to be great is watching Izzy kick ass at this because she's not going to take the shit. She's going to nail it, and I believe she's going to be just show up the guys and make them look like dicks.
Well, she kind of already is.
Yeah, true that. Shall we move on to Dallas?
Let's do, where everybody has a hangover.
I think this is the most hungover I've seen people in a long time.
Well,
Kary remembers fuck all.
I cannot believe the stuff that she does not remember being sprayed down by champagne at all. Like, you'd be sticky. Like, did you just
but not if you got in the pool afterwards.
True. But then you'd smell like, I guess then you just smell like chlorine. Fair.
Anyway, I mean, it looks like they had a great party considering there were 6 of them in a garden the size of a small park. Good on them for bringing the rage when there was no rage there to start with. I mean,
Brandy did not get home until 5:00 in the morning.
I mean,
so it must have been a good time.
She is my spirit animal. She just is, and I high five that for her.
Oh yeah, that's us.
Thank goodness Cameron isn't too hungover to still be banging on about the chicken foot, because I was worried that we weren't going to hear about the chicken foot this week, but thank goodness it was still there.
Well, I mean, it's such an important, distinction that, Tiffany really, really crossed a line and invaded
she really did.
Cameron's space.
Yeah, and it's Cameron's got it exactly right when she says that her not trying the chicken foot was offensive to the cops. I'm really pleased she understood that, because I'm going to have to stop being sarcastic now because it's just fucking dumb. It's not about the fact that you didn't want to eat the chicken foot, because nobody really wanted to eat the chicken foot. No. It's the fact that you were such an ignorant, spoiled brat about it.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
And then you tried to make it all about how you knew Chinese culture better than Tiffany.
Yes, that was
There's
also
that too.
Not great.
Jesus Christ.
Come
on, Cameron.
It's mind-blowing.
Just do better. Do better.
Do better. So my notes are a little bit mixed up, but I'd like to talk before we go on to the Kary Deandra thing, because I think we could probably do that at the end with the Brandy chat. But
for sure,
Tiffany's mum guilt is obviously something that we could all relate hard to.
For sure. I mean, I think it's really interesting because I've kind of done it backwards. So I stayed home when my kids are really little, and now that my kids are going to school, I'm now looking to kind of expand my stuff a little bit, so I was.
But you're like Stephanie in that way.
100%. I really identify with Stephanie, but being a doctor is hardcore, and that's really not something that you can take huge breaks from and then just pop back in when you like to. Like my jobs are not being a doctor. That's not my realm. And I totally understand where she's coming from, but I also want to be like, you know what? Your girls think you're badass. And it's very obvious they think that from when they were doing the CPR training, they're super into what their mom wants to do. And I get that kids want her at home, but I don't know. I think Tiffany's a badass.
But also kids say they want you at home, but then if you were at home all the time, they'd want daddy because daddy was away all the time.
Sure.
Kids don't know, and we can't take our lead from kids. No. We have to trust our gut. And I think that because this is essentially, there's two of them, but they're twins, right?
Yeah, so they're twins. Yeah.
This is her first rodeo.
Yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't matter what you do. I was working all the way through because I was a freelancer, and of course you feel that guilt.
Yeah.
But also, it's not about whether you work or not. It's about whether you fucking make them feel safe in general, whether you make them feel loved in general. And you can do that at the beginning and the end of the day if that's what you can do, or you do it all the way through. Because trust me, if you're spending all day with the kids, you're not spending all day with the kids making them feel safe and loved. You're spending a good significant portion of that time pretty stressed, pretty frustrated, and probably snapping. So there's pros and cons to everything.
Well, and so this is what I've got a few friends who worked when their kids were young and then kind of stepped away when they got older. And I'm going to tell you honestly, my kids do not remember when, my oldest does not remember when he was the only kid and I did everything with him and I made all the stuff. He has fucking no recollection of any of that bullshit. So for me, telling other moms, it doesn't matter, when you miss time, kids don't remember when they're little anyways, they just don't.
True.
So, and
you
do you.
And I think we're just too literal.
You is the best momming you can do.
And we're just too literal. We've been told that you have to spend time, that is the holy grail. It's the amount of time.
Right.
And it just isn't. Being a good mom that's one part of it, but it's everything.
And I feel like you and I had this discussion before, but there's a study out now that show working mothers are spending more time at home with their kids now than stay-at-home moms in the 50s did.
True story. They spent 11. It's not more time. It's more time, direct one-on-one playing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think in the 50s, it was something like 11 hours that stay-at-home mums would spend directly playing, interacting with their kids.
Right?
A week. And now it's something working mums spend something like 17 hours directly interacting, playing with their kids. So not just doing the laundry while the kids play, but actually sitting down crafting with them. And that's ridiculous.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous because we are still being made to feel like we are not as good a mums as they were because we're working and doing our thing. And we're fucking doing more, and it's that shit that we're still being made to feel guilty about this.
Absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you, every show from the 50s that I watched, the mums are having cocktails with each other and smoking cigarettes while the kids are running around outside.
And knocking back fucking Valium from
or amphetamines, so they have enough energy to then vacuum the entire house.
They've got the vapors. They're having naps all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm here for cocktails and cigarettes with my mum friends every now and again. But I think I hear, and I also think Tiffany is doing a phenomenal job. And I think I love watching her kids get excited and dress up and do that. I think she's going to be fine. Speaking of mums as well, I'm going to separate the two Karys that we saw in this episode, because the conversation I saw Kary have with her daughter was genuinely a really beautiful moment for me to watch.
Agreed. I totally agree with you on that. And I love how much she listens and empathizes and is just there for her kids. Like that's all it takes to be a good mom.
And it's so hard for parents to get this right, but she didn't try and fix it. She didn't say, right, we'll do this. You can go see this doctor. We'll go to this center or whatever. It was none of that. It was like, I'm here. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. If there's anything I can do. And it works because you hear Olivia, who's like really happy to take the piss out of her mum, who has never really said much of a good thing about her mum until this moment where she's like, she's been my rock. Like, I'm so lucky to have her.
I did love how she shaded her though when she was like, could you imagine my mom's voice like being comforting at all?
And then when she's taking the piss and like mimicking her and like, Eduardo, what are you getting me for my 50th birthday? That's an awful Mexican accent, but I'm only doing it because that's what Olivia did. And you know, I love that, but I think that Kary's handling a very, very difficult situation really, really fucking perfectly.
For sure. I agree with you on that. What she's not doing perfectly is being a friend.
True.
She's being such a dick to Deandra all the time.
I don't understand where this is coming from. Like, I feel it's a jealousy thing, but I can't think why the jealousy is there. I don't know why she's so mad with her.
Do you think that she's mad because Deandra's business is doing fine? Like, since coronavirus, like it's still it's weathering that, whereas her business just tanked?
Maybe that's it. Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like there's nothing Deandra can do right now that isn't going to get some sort of snide comment from Kary. And it's exhausting to watch. Like,
for sure. And I wonder, because Kary mentioned something like Deandra's like my sister. So like they have like this relationship, but it's like, but she's not your sister. She is still your friend and you're being an asshole. And everybody in America and around the world is watching it. And it's really fucking uncomfortable.
And it's weird because, you know, Deandra does a really good thing with Brandy's birthday. And I love that Deandra recognizes that moment where Brandy bought her the necklace and hasn't forgotten that stuff. Because I think in this world of like people buying shit and pretending to be mates, you can forget those moments. But I love that Deandra remembered that and wanted to pay it back to Brandy and organize this really fantastic trip.
And in a way that Brandy would want it to be too, because you and I talk about this a lot, how a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to treat you what I would want. And I would want this big thing and whatever. And Brandy's like, does not want that for her birthday at all. So they do a very cool, just like girls' day out kind of low key birthday celebration for her.
They do. I mean, the only misstep I feel, and maybe I'm just wrong, is the whole Captain Brandy thing weirds me out because essentially it's Brandy's head on a stick. Which doesn't really seem that celebratory to me. It feels a bit like, you know, some sort of 16th century witch hunt.
I don't understand it at all. like, was it?
I would understand it if Brandy wasn't there.
Things? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd understand if Brandy wasn't there and they were like, "This is replacement Brandy."
Yeah,
I'd be like, weird but funny.
She were here. Yeah.
But she is there along with her pitchfork head. It's really weird. It's really weird. Anyway, that aside, I still am not like embarrassed by it. I still think it was like hilarious.
Yeah. No.
Kary doesn't think it's hilarious because
Kary doesn't think anything's right. I mean, the tequila is not the right temperature. Like Deandra is not apparently hosting well enough. It's just like, oh my God. Like, I feel like Kary's being like the critical eye parent. And it's like, you can't fucking do anything right. It's just like, oh.
Well, and she's got bloody Cameron on her side now as well. And Cameron loves nothing more than to judge somebody for not being like up to scratch. So Deandra, with all her free spirit and Spanx showing and craziness, just is everything Cam wants to be but can't be.
Well, and I almost wonder if it between like Deandra and Cam, there's a little jealousy by Cam because Deandra can kind of be whoever she wants to be. She's still within Dallas's society because she's like been born into it. Like she can do whatever the fuck she wants. Whereas Cam has like married into it, but only as this like very prim and proper like woman. So that's who she has to be all the time. I don't know.
And I think that's really apparent when Cam makes that really snide comment where she's like, your mum gives you your checks just in an interview. And I'm like,
yeah.
You know what? There seems to be like a little bit of a disconnect here because doesn't your husband write your checks? Like,
for sure. And Deandra runs that company. Like,
yeah. And I'm not against, do you know what? Like, yes, God, I wish I'd been born into a fucking trust fund. But I'm not against people who are born into a trust fund getting the money that, like, I get it. It is what it is. That's what it happens. But you've also got to recognize your own privilege. And Cameron's like, her lack of self-awareness when she accuses her of taking checks from her mum, when she is literally married into money and gets checks from her husband.
And threw the party at her father-in-law's house.
It blows my mind.
We're not fans, Cam. Not fans.
No. Despite your occasional moment of comedic brilliance, it's not enough to win me over.
No, I just wish it was more consistent. Like, if you could just be, I don't know, more tolerant, you'd probably win us over. Because that's all it is.
Just a bit more smart. Like, she's just not she's not great at like really assessing and judging situations.
Right.
It's like very black and white for her. There's no critical thinking.
Yeah.
And that, I just think it's not cute when you get to a certain age. It's boring. She's like a real life fucking Cher from Clueless.
Right. Like, but like when she's not smart.
Yeah, but mean.
Yeah. Like a Regina George from Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Who also only wears pink. Interesting.
Anyway, let's move on to our final show, which is,
oh my gosh,
of course, Salt Lake City. This show is delivering, and thank God for Jen Shah. I mean, we have a lot to talk about. We are not Jen Shah fans necessarily, but thank God for Jen Shah.
For sure.
Where to start,
I don't know what the
Reagan?
fuck her problem is.
I am confused. Like,
I mean, she's made me like Lisa, which I thought was impossible.
who knew, me too. Who knew that was going to happen? Hell officially froze over. But here's the thing, right? If she hadn't accepted Whitney's apology and this was still an ongoing thing, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like she's done this twice now. Yes, it's fine. I accept your apology. Let's have a cuddle. It's fine. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And then doesn't just go, do you know what? I'm just still not okay. Like, I'm really sorry. I'm still struggling with it. Instead, goes postal.
Fucking mental. Like, I love that Meredith left. And I'm usually not a fan of people leaving, but like, you can't fucking argue with crazy. Meredith nailed it. Like, Jen was trying to tell her who to hang out with, regardless of what Jen believes she was doing. And I agree with Meredith. Like, fuck this. I'm out.
Well, I do too. And like you said at the beginning, I liked Meredith in this episode. I liked Lisa in this episode. I mean, we'll talk about Mary later. Even Mary, I was like, you know what? Like, nobody compared to Jen.
No.
I
almost jumped out of my chair watching Jen hit Heather.
I know. Just not okay. Like,
Fucking
what the
not
fuck
okay
is wrong
at
with
all.
this woman?
You've kicked a puppy. You've just kicked a puppy.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
Heather
exactly what she said.
Is the nicest, most compassionate person on this show who really tries to be friends with everybody and empathizes with everybody. But like,
She's too codependent.
She is too
codependent.
codependent. But I do like that in this episode, we see her fucking stand up to Jen.
Yeah, because I'm with you. Like, we see the when they all meet up for their debrief in the evening after the whole thing in the suite, and everybody's like, I'm done with Jen, and Heather's still like, no, you know, that's not what a friend is. I'm like, babe, at some point you have to let go of the codependency. You have to recognize that there are some people that are just not good for you, and you walk away. And it's not a failure. It's just a decision that you make for the betterment of both of your lives.
Well, I
think that's where Jen is now. I think that's where Lisa is with Jen. I really respected Lisa's decision. She wasn't a bitch about it. She's like, I'm done. I'm out. She's made a smart choice. So when Heather was saying this, I was like, oh.
Well, I think
then
with
when
Heather,
she gets into the room with her.
Yeah, I think with Heather, you see the damage her husband did to her. Like, that's all from that, which we can see. But yeah, keep going. Like, when we see them.
And then when she gets into the room with her, I'm expecting her to be like, Little Miss placating, and actually the way that she speaks to Jen and she calls her out in her shit, and she's like, well, that would be great, but in this situation, you're the one that's fucked up. And Jen, and this is the thing with Jen, she genuinely cannot believe what she is hearing.
No, and I just feel like either Jen has no real people in her life other than Sharif to be like, what the fuck? Because all of those people in that tiny ass hotel, in that hotel room, A, would make me feel claustrophobic as fuck. But B, they're just all yes people. Like, she pays them all. So of course they're gonna agree with you.
Yeah, she's really, she can't be vulnerable at all. Like, even when they're in the hypnotist and everybody's got their eyes closed and they're doing this thing, there takes a certain amount of vulnerability to close your eyes in a room with people and trust that everybody's part of the same. She can't even do that. She's got eyes open. She's not engaged. She's not going to give herself over to anything.
Oh, and that bullshit about like not trusting Heather. Oh, fuck off.
Oh, fuck off. I mean, when they all put their hands up, it was like, come to Jesus. Like, this is the moment. This is your day of reckoning, Jen. Fucking sort this shit out. Because we've all had friends like that. We've all had friends like that.
For sure. Like, I don't know if I've ever met anybody as
not necessarily to that level.
Yeah, as non-self-aware as Jen is.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Who just doesn't get any of this story. Doesn't get that, like, Whitney told her, Mary said this about these two girls. Like, Whitney never fucking said that they definitely said it. And it's just like, how are you not following the story? It's fucking easy.
Because it doesn't fit with her narrative. It's so frustrating to watch. And I can only imagine how frustrating it is to fucking be part of it.
For sure. Oh, like, I don't know. But let's also talk about Meredith in that little, like, in their debrief when Meredith comes clean about, like, all her marriage stuff to everyone.
I don't warm to Meredith.
Yeah.
No, I don't warm to Meredith, but I do have a lot of respect for her. I think that she is very measured. I think she's very thoughtful. I think she's very smart. I think she's absolute zero fun.
For sure.
But I think that everything she does is very considered. And I think she would never have brought this up if she didn't feel like this was the best course of action to kind of quell the storm.
Right. Yeah.
And I think she handles it brilliantly.
Yeah. I wasn't a super fan of Lisa getting all offended. Like, oh, she's my best friend and she didn't tell me any of this stuff. It's like, well, she always said had shit going on in her life. Like, it's not about you.
No, people get to keep their stuff private if that's what they want to do.
Even if you're best friends, she could still have her own life. FYI.
Also, Lisa, there's enough fucking going on right now. Like, let's stay focused on the real clusterfuck. Jesus Christ.
For sure. But how's this, like, Jen telling everybody she's left and staying?
Oh, of course she did, though, because nobody followed her. So she wouldn't have... This is the thing with Jen. She needs to be center of attention, even if it's center of the worst kind of attention. And she can't leave. Like, she loved it when Lisa followed her. And the fact that when she left and nobody followed her or whatever, that, of course, she stays because she doesn't want to miss out or not be involved.
For sure.
There is something so desperately insecure about her that it's painful to watch. But fuck me. If you've got to pay your friends to be around you all the time,
for sure. No, I love the time at the hypnotist when they're all kind of being very real with her. I love Meredith fucking being like, this is not cool.
Yeah. I love the hypnotist that was like, yeah, no, that's still not an apology.
No.
Should we try again?
Right? Like me with my kids.
Nope. I was like,
and they're right there. Just, I'm so sorry. Done. That's all you got to say.
No buts. Jen found that like the hardest thing she's ever done in her entire fucking life.
I felt like she was gonna punch the hypnotist at some point. Like, oh fuck.
She was wearing this like uber tight jumpsuit as well, and I was thinking she's literally like she's gonna Hulk out of that in a minute.
It was.
You know what I mean? It was like the perfect color. I was like, she's hulking out that any minute now. No
Lady
messing.
Hulk.
I have thrown the occasional Lady Hulk tantrum,
Oh,
but
who
like,
hasn't? Sometimes you have
I was
to.
waiting for her to do that.
Oh man.
Well, listen, I think that brings us to the end. We will be discussing Salt Lake City with a guest next week.
Yes,
Watch
and
out
it's
on
the
our
finale.
socials, we'll announce. And it's the finale, so that's really cool.
Very
so we'll
cool.
be down to 3 shows.
Right. Other shows are coming. So the Real
March
Housewives
1st.
The Real Housewives of New Jersey is coming back. Below
Right.
Deck Sailing Yacht is coming back. So we'll be hooking up with those at some point, but I need to check the dates.
That's cool. And of course, we haven't talked about Southern Charm because it's reunion time, so we'll be doing that in a mini-sode as well.
And if you guys listened to us at all last year, you know how much we loved Family Karma. That's been announced that it's been picked up for a 2nd season. So we will, for shiz, be talking about that show when it comes back.
And this is the last, I mean,
Yes.
It might be the last item,
Who
but
knows?
we did just record our Patreon content for January. We're a little bit behind the curve on that, but it is going up, and Jimmy can do it tonight, hopefully. And so if you want to listen to our chat on Married at First Sight, then you're going to have to sign up to Patreon. But we're worth it. I promise you we're worth it.
Yeah, we've got some great stuff in the works for Patreons moving forward as well. There's a lot of really interesting chats happening on the internet right now with some certain celebrities and connections to Housewives. And there's some weird, crazy shit going on with some reality stars that we've all been chatting about. So if you want to hear the tea on all that, you need to head over to Patreon and check those episodes out. They're quite a bit different than our regular episodes. So
they are. But for now, thank you as ever for giving us your time. We hope that we have entertained you. If you're in the UK, we hope that we bring just like a little bit of sunshine into your life every week. And if you're not in the UK, then lucky you.
But we are all still thinking about you and sending you all the good vibes. If only good vibes could cure coronavirus, we'd be sorted.
Only we would. But for now, thank you so much, and we will be back next week. In the meantime,
remember that smart
people watch
reality
TV too. Bye.
Bye.
Please subscribe, rate, and review TV My Husband Hates wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TV My Husband Hates and join the Facebook group to keep the conversation going when the podcast ends. If Twitter's your thing, you'll find us at TV Husbands Hate. Theme music and production for TV My Husband Hates is by Jimmy Sims.